Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another brand new episode here of Under Pressure with your host, myself, Nicholas Presto. Alongside me today, Nick Santamoris, Billy O'Neill, Aaron Mulligan. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this. And also thank you to co-producer, executive producer, Billy Griffith for everything he does behind the scenes. So we have a variety of sports that we're going to talk about tonight, mainly dealing with the NFL, NBA, and MLB. So let's jump right on into it with the first topic of the three tonight, the NFL. So free agency is now upon us. Everything's heating up. And I think the first thing that really needs to be highlighted and talked about is J.J. Watt leaving the Houston Texans and joining the Arizona Cardinals. So, Billy, I wanted to start it off with you. What impact do you think this move makes for Arizona and J.J. Watt's career?
Well, first of all, thanks for kicking to me first. Appreciate it. I think JJ Watt makes a difference on any team he's on if he could stay healthy. Um, I think that this is a choice no one saw coming, and I don't think that that's like a hot take either. I think that everyone was pretty convinced he was either going to end up somewhere in the north or he was going to end up playing against or with his brother, TJ, in the AFC North. But to see him on the Cardinals does kind of make sense when you consider the defensive pieces they have. They're kind of one more guy away from being in a contender position. And I think that the Cardinals offense is going to continue to get better. I think Kyler Murray is going to continue to grow and probably flourish in the NFL. And then when you have a guy like DeAndre Hopkins being there, seeing them reunite makes sense too. I think that they could probably do damage, but they're also in the toughest division in the NFC. Theoretically, if it doesn't change too much, and if the Niners can stay healthy. So like, I don't know if it's like what the move's motivated by, because he doesn't go to the best team, he doesn't go to the most financially viable team because other teams offered him more money.
Yes.
So I don't really get the move, but I understand. But at the same time, I understand why he's there.
I personally really like the move, honestly, because he teams up with his former teammate DeAndre Hopkins. I think that is a big morale boost for the locker room, I feel like, because they're going to bring that kind of energy, that old spirit now. They had Deshaun Watson. Now they can hype up this new guy in Kyler Murray to be their new franchise quarterback and really lead that team to the Super Bowl. So, Santa Morris, now I would love to get your opinion now on what you think J.J. Watt's impact will be in Arizona.
As a Seahawk fan, you hate to see it. I mean, JJ said it himself that the reason why he chose the Cardinals is because he trusts Kyler and he thinks he could bring him a chip. And only from that move, I could tell that JJ is also thinking about the future. So he's in the league to stay. I don't think these injuries are going to end up, giving him an early retirement. I think he's here to stay. So I think he'll be in Arizona for a while. It is a really, 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 really hard division. Like, I'd say every single team, when fully healthy, is a playoff team in that division. The 49ers are a playoff team. The Cardinals are a playoff team. And Seattle Seahawks, as of right now, as of March 12th, 2021, they are still a playoff team that could change with one move. And the Rams, I think they're going to take it. But I think it's going to come down to either the Cardinals or the Rams winning. And I think J.J. Watt's going to be a really, really big piece because of that winning.
Yeah, I firmly believe that J.J. Watt really steps Arizona's defense up big time and really asserting themselves as contending probably the second best, close to first best now, tied with the Rams for the best defense in that division. And now getting into that, Aaron, I would love to hear your opinion now on what you think JJ Watt's impact will be in Arizona.
I'm all for it. I
Oh
was so
no.
excited, thrilled for him.
Prepared.
I have to say, when I was like, I guess I was 11 when he came into the league, he was the first player that was not a Giants player that I liked and I started following.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's always been like my top guy. I think, yeah, everybody's talking about his reunion with DeAndre Hopkins, but he's also reuniting with Vance Joseph, who's their defensive coordinator. He was the defensive, I forget, he was a defensive coach on the Texans
Yes.
JJ's first 3 years. So those were some of his best years. So hopefully maybe he could bring back a little bit of the old JJ. But this is reminding me of a little bit of Justin Tuck's move when he left the Giants and went to the Raiders for 2 years. So I'm kind of hoping that JJ doesn't just stay here for the 2 years of his contract. I hope he goes longer. But I think in addition to Chandler Jones on the defense, I think they'll be fantastic. Like you said, one of the top ones in the conference. So I think he'll have a major impact and it'll be okay.
Make a great point. I'm definitely excited to see. Chandler Jones didn't even play most of the season last year. I think he missed about 6 or 7 games. And the Cardinals defense still finished top 5 in sacks. Now you add a fully healthy Chandler Jones and a fully healthy JJ Watt. Trouble is coming for the whole rest of the league. I can't wait to see it. But now getting on to the next topic, Santa, you already know I'm going to you first.
Yeah, I already got the smile on my face. I know it's coming.
Staying in the division of the NFC West, Russell Wilson, is he on the move? Is there really a reality where Russ leaves Seattle this season? And if so, what team do you think is going to make that push and really trade for him? So,
All
Santa?
right, let me lay down the law here. Russell Wilson is not going anywhere. He's staying in Seattle. If Seattle trades him, he's going to go to the Bears, but I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think that all of these rumors is just a bunch of, just a bunch of BS. I think it's just what I think. This is there a chance that Russell Wilson is not a Seahawk next year? Yes. This year he is a Seahawk, and if anything, this is the way that the Seahawks are going to gather a bunch of buzz about Russ when he inevitably leaves, or maybe we ship him at the deadline. Who knows? But I don't think he's going anywhere. He's staying in Seattle, but he could go to the Bears, right? I think there's about 25% chance he leaves Seattle, but that's what I think.
Now, personally, he has stated that he will not use that no trade clause. Like, he wants to stay in Seattle, but if the deal is there, I think Seattle is definitely might take it.
Yes.
If
But
it's
the deal's got to be there. Seattle said they would only give him up if the deal like blew him out of the water. Listen, if it's like 3 first rounders and like 2 second rounders, like something absolutely out of this mind crazy, like the Bears get so desperate, I'll drive Russell Wilson to Chicago in that case. But I know that they're not gonna do that. So Russ is staying, and we're going double-digit wins, and we're getting back to the playoffs.
That's a very bold take, especially with all this commotion with the
Yep.
trade. But in all
Very
seriousness,
emotional about this.
do you think a fair trade would be, say, 3 first-round picks and Mitch Trubisky for Russ? Something in that ballpark?
If you literally replace Mitch Trubisky, but I think any other quarterback besides, I think maybe 2 or 3, yes. But Mitch Trubisky scares me, so I don't know.
Well, getting onto that, Aaron, I would love to hear what you have to think now. If you really think Russ is going to be on the move, maybe another team other than the Bears might make a move for him. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
To be completely honest, I'm so sick of hearing about him leaving. Because I was watching I love when Shannon Sharp gets really he gets so like riled up about things, and he was talking about how Sierra is having a big impact on his thought process. She wants to further her music career, so they have to move to a city that she can thrive in, and so can he. That's not going to work. This is stupid, like if he's going to go to Chicago, you're not going to further your music career there, and you should have done it a long time ago. So beyond that, I think if he goes to Chicago, it'll be fine. I think he can have a lot more success with Seattle, obviously. But I don't know. I think he should just stay put. And I don't know if this was a rumor or not, but I read that he was interested in the Cowboys before
Yeah,
Dak signed his contract. Um,
that's
so I don't know. I'd be angry if I was a Seahawk and I heard Russell say that. I'd feel kind of betrayed, but I think he should just stay put. He's better off.
I honestly agree as well. I think he definitely should stay put. But other than Dallas and Chicago, there was also teams like Miami and I think Oakland were looking at potential trade packages for Russ. Seeing him honestly in any jersey other than a Seahawks jersey would be weird. And I just don't think he definitely would not fit with any other team because he has weapons now in DK Metcalf, a new young star receiver looking like he's going to be a top receiver in the NFL. Yes, the jersey is right there on his chair. And not only that, you have a great number 2 option in Tyler Lockett. The only thing that the Seahawks need to do is sign free agents, and by free agents, I mean offensive linemen. They need the offensive linemen to protect to protect Russ. All they want to do is win, and that's how they're gonna do it. So, Billy, I would
And there's so many offensive linemen available too.
there are plenty of offensive linemen that we are definitely going to get into in the next topic here. But Billy, I would just love to hear from you real quick what you would like to think about Russ leaving Seattle potentially or definitely staying.
So I'm going to take this from two different perspectives, from the perspective of the Seahawks and the perspective of Russell Wilson. Russell
Okay.
Wilson right now, if he does not get the help that he needs and deserves on an offensive line, it is in his best interest to leave. Russell Wilson is someone who has consistently been an NFL like MVP tier quarterback, and what a lot of people would argue is consistently snubbed every year for being in like that top 2 race. Um, at this point, not having an offensive line will affect his longevity into his career, and he's still playing at such a high level that like you could see him legitimately having like a longer career. Not having an offensive line will hurt that. I could see him being traded to a team. I'm not going to pick a team where he would go. I could just see him being traded away for that reason because it's going to keep continuing to create a rift. Now, from the perspective of the Seahawks, if I'm a GM on the Seahawks, if I'm anyone in management at the Seahawks, I would not trade anything for Russell Wilson. If I am the guy who trades Russell Wilson, I go down as in history as the guy who made the worst trade probably of all time because you can't get rid of Russ. If he's an MVP caliber quarterback every year, that doesn't come around like the way that it seems like it does, and he has been doing it and been contesting that position every year since they went to back-to-back Super Bowls. Like he's always getting them to the playoffs. He's consistently been a leader on this team. And there's I don't think there's a value out there that you could get right now for him. And honestly, I would rather just ride out his contract and get nothing for him and at least say that we tried our best to put things around him than to trade him, give up, and watch him go win a Super Bowl somewhere else. Like
I
that's just my personal take on that.
I genuinely really like that take a lot. Russ definitely needs to do what is best for him at this stage of the game in his career. He's given his everything to Seattle. We definitely want to see him win another one. And unfortunately, if Seattle really can't follow through and get him that help, then maybe he does need to leave. But as of right now, I would love him to personally stay in Seattle. And yes, Santa, I know you're very happy to hear that.
Yeah. All Seattle needs is an offensive line. Like they have everything else. The
Everything else.
defense started to come together towards the end of the season. All we need is offensive linemen. And as of right now, the Seahawks, again, March 12th, are a sitting duck. They are doing nothing. But we will see.
And that leads me into my next point here. So the free agents market is very deep this year in especially 3 positions: quarterback, receiver, and offensive line. So there's definitely a handful of teams that really are looking to make a couple splashes in free agency and sign some big name players like Kenny Galladay, Will Fuller, and more. So Aaron, I'd love to kick it off with you for this one. Which teams do you, or one team in particular even, needs to definitely make a splash with this amazing like free agents market that we see here?
Overall, I'm just gonna say the Giants in any position. Besides that, I think Washington should actually try to go for Will Fuller. I like that you said him. I think that he has a lot more to offer. And when talking about Washington, I think they should go for a quarterback as well. They're very wishy-washy with their quarterbacks right now.
Mhm.
It's not a solid like position. And I found it kind of hard to watch last season. I just like it gave me anxiety watching them because you didn't know who was going to play in which game. There was either an injury or they were, I don't know, resting someone. So I think they should go for a quarterback. They already went for Stafford. I mean, that's obviously over now. So they're definitely interested in a quarterback. But Ron Rivera said that they're going to stay patient and just see what happens. And other than that, I think Carolina should go for mainly offensive linemen, hopefully. Right now, McCaffrey's literally carrying the team, and he barely played last season.
Yeah.
So they're in a rebuilding stage. So I would really, really like to see them succeed this season and the upcoming seasons, hopefully with the free agency right now.
Now, I will have to agree with you 100%. I may be a huge Jets fan, but I think a great fit would be Kenny Galladay going to the Giants. I think it makes a lot of sense. He definitely wants to leave Detroit to play in a bigger, more well-known market like New York. And I think he's definitely, unfortunately, going to choose the Giants over the Jets. It looks a lot brighter. Team up that young.
Welcome. He's welcome.
I'm sure you guys are taking with open arms.
Yeah.
But yeah, with a young offensive core like Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley coming back from his torn ACL, we all know he's going to be ready to run all over the league. He's mad. Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard, and I believe I'm forgetting one more receiver, but also Evan Ingram. They have a great young offense, and the defense really stepped up last year. So I think the Giants making that move for Kenny Galladay and getting a real number one receiver would make them honestly a favorite to win the NFC East, possibly. So
I
I
like
would
it.
honestly like it goes against everything I say as a Jets fan wanting it, but I really think if the Giants do that, they are going to win that division. It's very shaky
They're
right now.
climbing up the ladder. Stepping stones.
The defense really impressed me last year. So if they can just add Galladay and really get that number one receiver, it could be something. It could really be something. And now, Billy, I would love to kick it on over to you on which teams or players do you think would be best fit for them right now, and what you would love to see.
Well, just to build off what we just talked about, the Chiefs just lost two top tier offensive linemen, and the Seahawks are in the market for some guys. Maybe they should give them a phone call. I don't know. Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz are both pretty good options to have
Yeah.
there, and that might make Russ a little happy. But I don't know. It doesn't look like they're picking up the phone anytime soon. But
Giants cut
I
Kevin.
do think there you go. There's another one. It's
Yeah.
just like, and then Corey Linsley's also going to be hitting the market from the Packers. At least it looks like he is because we won't be able to afford to give him a deal. But I think that off the bat, as a Packer fan, I want to say we should make a move for Kenny Galladay or Will Fuller, whoever's available. We're like 2 years in a row, I've felt like we have been a wide receiver away from a Super Bowl, and 2 years in a row, we do stupid things that mean not getting a wide receiver to go to the Super Bowl, like drafting a quarterback in the first round who's going to play eventually, I guess maybe. But I don't see how you don't like sign a guy like Kenny Galladay or Will Fuller when they hit the market, and then to shift gears. I think that Aaron Jones is going to leave the Packers, and I want to see a team sign him that would be capable. And if the way that the Jets and Dolphins off seasons are looking, I think that if the Jets add a bunch of pieces, which they have the cap space for,
Hope so.
then he would make. I think he'd be a good fit there if they were able to pull off the trades they're looking to pull off for quarterbacks. If they're able to pull off those other moves, he would be a good fit to finish that. If not, the Dolphins, I think, are like a back like that away from being like a pretty consistently strong offense. I think that I think when Tua gets a real shot this year to perform, I think he'll perform pretty well. And I think that having a guy like Aaron Jones, who's been a pretty consistent bell cow back for the Packers, and someone who's helped alleviate some pressure off of Aaron Rodgers, would definitely help alleviate pressure from Tua. So doing something like that would be a big move for them to be able to continue to move forward and grow as a team. But those are my main picks for free agency right now.
I mean, shoot, I'd love to see Aaron Jones go from Green Bay green to New York Jets green. That would be nice to see. Maybe Kenny Galladay too. Maybe Will Fuller as well.
It hurt me so much to say that sentence. I want him to stay so bad, but he's not. He's not sticking around. He's going to get paid.
Yeah, honestly, I heard a lot of reports that he really might leave Green Bay. That's not looking too hot.
Yeah, we didn't franchise tag him for a reason. Like, I think
Yeah.
it would be sad if he was franchise tagged. And I think that they have to make a choice between Corey Linsley and him. And they're going to have to. I don't know that you could choose to not protect Aaron Rodgers at 37 years old.
Honestly, you have to at that point. But I feel like Aaron Jones will definitely get a good payday. And now, Santa Morris, I'd love to end it off with you here. What do you think definitely needs to be made as a team for free agency on the open market? I know you're definitely going to talk about the Seahawks offensive line. So let's hear it.
I feel like I've said enough about the Seahawks today, but yes, they definitely need an offensive line. I mean, we have great pieces everywhere else. We just need an offensive line. But moving on to other teams, I want to talk about the two New York teams.
Yes.
New York Giants, I think that you guys have a really, really good team. I mean, I can't really talk a lot of smack. You guys beat the Seahawks last year, and you guys looked good while doing it. I don't know if Daniel Jones is the answer, but I think you got a lot of other pieces. But there is a chance Daniel Jones is the answer. I could see the New York Giants signing someone like Kenny Galladay. I don't think they're going to sign Will Fuller. I feel like Will Fuller might cost a little too much, even though Kenny Galladay also might cost a little pretty penny. I think Will Fuller is going to end up going to the Green Bay Packers. But I think Kenny Galladay is someone that could definitely land with the Giants. And honestly, I think he will end up signing with the Giants. I think it's too perfect of a fit not to happen. So I have the Giants sign them, and I think you guys are in good shape. You guys definitely need a little other pieces here and there, but you guys are in good shape. But going over to the Jets,
oh boy,
the Jets have a lot. No, I'm saying good things here.
Oh,
The Jets are. See, I was thinking about the Jets, and the Jets are like a big asterisk because it's all going to come down to what you guys do with that pick, that number 2 pick. If you guys draft an O lineman, you're going with Sam Darnold for the future. Like, he is the set quarterback for the future. Or you could pick someone who I think you will end up picking. Maybe Zach Wilson, I think, might go to the Jets.
yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Justin Fields. But if they go with him, it's just a wild card at that point. But guys I could see the New York Jets signing is someone like Hassan Reddick. I feel like the New York Jets have been in dire need of an edge rusher for so long. And Hassan Reddick is one of those guys. I think they could definitely sign with him. Another guy I could see, feel like a guy that would go to the Jets because it's in the New York area, even though it's not for the Giants, which I guess you could be considered the bigger New York team, is someone like Juju Smith-Schuster. I think could definitely go to the New York Jets. And that's going to be a big move. And Juju did have an off year, but I think with a new scenery and becoming the actual core number 1 wide receiver of a team, I think he will show out just like he did a couple seasons ago. I don't know if that was 2 seasons ago or whatever. Oh, and one more guy I just remembered could see the Giants signing is Darrell Williams, the offensive tackle. That's going to be a big piece for the Giants if they get him, and they'll be even more of a contender. I have the Giants winning the NFC East next year. That's just me, though.
Wow. Yeah, we both
Jets will have 5 wins. 5 wins. I'm going with 5. 5 or 6 wins.
You've been going 6 or 7.
I'm going 5 or 6 wins.
5's a little generous, don't you think?
I'm going 6 or 7. I don't know about you guys.
I'm trying to be nice.
Jets like having those top 3 picks. I think they might stay down there for a while. Like, if they don't sign anything. But I don't know if the Giants are going to be able to pull off the. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude here, but I don't think the Giants are, especially when you're going to have Taylor Heineke starting for the Washington football team. I actually legitimately believe that he's going to be a good starter in the NFL, and I think he's going to play the majority of games for them.
I don't buy it yet.
He's being coached under the last coach he played as an NFL player. Last time he was in the NFL, he played for Ron Rivera. And now he's playing for Ron Rivera again. I think that there's like a legitimate trust there that he would sign such a big deal as a quarterback who hasn't played much football. And then the team loves him too. I think he's going to start, and I think he's going to win a lot of games for Washington. But that's just me.
Definitely going to be a lot of fun to watch,
100%.
though. So, moving into the final topic here of the NFL, there have been a lot of players recently now over the last couple days that have been reconstructing their contracts. And this is kind of something that we haven't really seen in a long time. There's been a lot of stereotypical, a lot of players playing only for the money, want the big contracts. They don't want to win anymore. But now we're seeing a big handful of players start switching, start giving themselves less money in order to give the franchise more of an opportunity to sign better players and really better the franchise to win. So I personally want to start this off myself. I love this so much. I really want to see a lot more players doing this. I just saw even recently, even Adrian Amos just did it now. There have been so many players over the last like 4 or 5 days that have been taking less money in so the teams can actually build for a championship contending run. And I can't wait to see what they sign with their money. I know the Jets saved about 10 million. The Giants saved another 15 million. The Packers saved about 10 million as well. And a lot of teams are sticking with it now and going along with it. So I think it's been a domino effect, really. One team kind of started off and a couple players, and a lot more have come to follow. So I'm really starting to like this. It shows to me that these players are really having some heart and really just don't want the money. They just want to win, and I love to see it. Um, but yeah, that's my take on it. So Aaron, I will kick it over to you on how you feel about all these new players reconstructing their contracts.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love it because I'm a person who I just I lose a lot of respect for a player when they hold out on the team or
Mm.
they're talking bad about the team because they want more money and they say they deserve more money. What's happening now shows that they're grateful for where they are, and it's a better trend to be going on in the NFL. You never really see that in the MLB. You might see it in the NBA, but you see it often in the NFL. So now with this opposite trend, I love it, and it does, like you said, it shows that there's a lot more heart in the game, and they're just more into playing the sport and being more for the team, as opposed to holding out because of your individual, desires, I guess, for your money and everything.
Another great points you made. And building on top of that, Billy, would you like to build off of what Aaron just said?
I'd love to. For me, I think that this shows that like players like Dwayne Wade for basketball specifically,
Yeah.
was someone who consistently lowered his contract so that they could keep like the big three in Miami, and only really left when like he was being substantially underpaid for what he was doing after they disbanded, and they kept trying to lower his deal. Tom Brady's been doing it for years, to allow the Patriots to succeed, and now the Buccaneers. Um, I think that it just shows like I think it's a winner's mentality starting to show up in the NFL right now. Like I think that more teams are being susceptible to building larger rosters and trying to win. There's also probably more talent in the NFL right now than ever before. So to like assume that all players could get those deals, especially on like a low cap year for the NFL, is like players kind of just have to like understand, and I feel like they are kind of like collaboratively understanding that they could do that. And I feel the movement for like bigger contracts kind of started with Le'Veon Bell holding out, um,
Yeah.
and then like it
Another
led to
great
like more people doing that, and then yeah, Le'Veon Bell, what a guy. Um, but and then yeah, I feel like this is a healthier direction for the NFL. I don't um I think the value of player contracts and how expensive they are and how much they make is a completely different conversation that isn't for here, but like I do think that it's like a good step for like the direction of the NFL and to see more like great teams put together instead of like average teams. There's going to be a lot more competition in the league, a lot more winning mentality, and I think that that's what the league needs.
And exactly, that's definitely what the league needs. That's what the fans want. They want to see a lot more competition, competitive, hard fighting games. It's gonna skyrocket the ratings. I know the ratings have definitely been down a lot more ever since the pandemic as well. So seeing a lot more players reconstructing their contracts, possibly building much better teams, definitely can get the fans more involved. So Santa, I would also love to end it off with you here on your opinion on how you feel the reconstructed contracts are.
So I feel like there's not much to say that hasn't already been said. I'm also a fan of players reconstructing their contracts, but I guess I'll try to play a little bit of devil's advocate. I saw a lot of talk on Twitter of people who don't like the reconstructing contracts, saying that a player shouldn't just be able to sign a contract and then the team come to them and say, "Listen, can we do this? Can we do this?" I saw people saying that it wouldn't be good for some of the player unions that teams can just try to ask, and when they go to the term when you give someone an inch, they take a mile. I don't know if that's what the exact quote is, but and a lot of other opposing GMs, they try to like plan their drafts and what they do in free agency around other teams' caps or in their divisions, and that could really mess up other teams' plans. So I guess playing devil's advocate, but my personal opinion, I'm a big fan of the reconstructing contracts. I like seeing players that go out there and we try to win. I mean, I say Kobe sometimes is over Jordan because just of Kobe's heart, and I just love players' heart, going out there to win. I like reconstructing contracts. I feel like, again, there's just not much to say that hasn't already been said by everybody.
I will definitely say you brought up a great point about the players union and how they should get a little more, say, respect they deserve because they did sign the contract initially. That it's kind of not that fair for you to just say, "Hey, we're going to do this to your contract and give you a lot less money. Thanks." So
Obviously, like the player has to agree to it, but
yeah,
like it's still like a come on now. Like I
yeah,
signed it. Why are we trying to do this now? You guys should have thought about this when I first signed the contract, not asking me to take less money when I'm probably more than likely the star of the team.
exactly. It doesn't deserve to take less money.
Exactly.
But with all of that now being said, that is it for the NFL portion of today's show. Stay tuned for more as we hop on into the NBA.
When I'm lonely in the dark, I know you are with me, yeah.
And welcome back, guys, to another segment here on Under Pressure. Now we are jumping into the NBA portion of things. And first and foremost, the topic at hand that I definitely want to address is with my team, the Brooklyn Nets, now acquiring Blake Griffin after being bought out of his 2-year, I want to say $70 million contract of the Pistons. He had a 1-year deal with $39 million that had a player option on it for another $39 million. And he got bought out, so the Nets signed him for the minimum, and now he joins the team with already Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, and reuniting with former Lob City teammate DeAndre Jordan. In all seriousness, this looks like my team in 2K. This is getting a little ridiculous, and I'm a Nets fan, and I'm just like, all right, just gift wrap the title for us at this point. Like, I love the move. Obviously, I'm not going to complain about it, but the team is just completely stacked. I don't think I've ever seen a team this stacked before in my life. If Blake Griffin, of course, can return to the form he had before the injuries hit, when he came into Detroit and really started to modify his game a lot more around the modern NBA and how it's shifting. But aside from that, Billy, I would love to kick things off with you. Do you think this addition of Blake Griffin is really going to help the Nets really secure the NBA title this year?
Blake Griffin's been sliding for a while. I
He
don't
has.
know if this is. I don't like Blake Griffin kind of built a career off of having athleticism and having like this like explosive jump. Everyone knows Blake Griffin for his dunk contest, probably more than like anything he's done in game, aside from Lob City, which is really a 3-man effort. I think Blake Griffin is getting up there. He's getting old, and I don't think he has fundamentals to continue like a sound basketball career at his age. If he were to just go to the Nets and then just miraculously start playing like 25-year-old Blake Griffin again, that'd be fun. And I think that if like that part of him were to show up, then yes, I think they're probably the secured title team. But I, I don't know. I think even then, like Blake Griffin adds something on the offensive end, and the biggest concern with the Nets all season has been their defense.
Yeah,
Like even since adding James Harden, like they just don't have anything on defense. They could put up 140 points, but they can't stop anyone from scoring on them. So like I I think they'll still be in the finals, but like if they can be beaten on like if they can't put up competition on the defensive end, I don't know how they're going to be able to win a finals.
I definitely agree with that. Our defense has definitely been suspect the entire season, but we have been kind of starting to figure it out a little bit. Hopefully, Blake Griffin can give us a little more size and strength down low that we really need. And leading into that next point, so Aaron, I would love to kick it off with you next. Blake Griffin joining the Nets. Do you really think that this is going to secure the title for the Nets, or do you think maybe someone else can take him down?
Yeah, Blake Griffin. I always liked him because of the story that he slapped Justin Bieber across the face in a Starbucks once, and that just made me laugh. And I just, I always liked him for that reason. And I think that says that he does whatever he wants and he does what's best. So I think this was the best decision for him. And I think it was a really great decision for the Nets. They have a lot of gaps that he could fill. And I just think the fact that Kevin Durant was the biggest one that recruited him,
So,
says a lot. And so, yeah, with his size, his skills, even though he has declined a little, I think he can really do a lot for the team, especially like you said, it looks like, um, a team that you would do on Y2K. I'm not that into video games, but I know that's the video game for the NBA. But yeah, it just seems unreal, really. So it'd be nice to see a championship back in New York. And yeah, I think he'll do great things for the team.
definitely, I would love to see that. But another great point, it really shows Kevin Durant's leadership and wants to really build a real culture, even though a lot of these guys came in this year or just last year. He still wants to be a part of Brooklyn's culture and really building a whole team and showing that off by recruiting Blake Griffin. I really love that by him. And Santa Morris, I'd love to end it off with you here. Is Blake Griffin the cherry on the top for the Brooklyn Nets title run?
So Blake Griffin, he was on my fantasy team for pretty much the whole year, and I will tell you one thing: he did not perform good at all. He is not ranked that good in all of fantasy. But again, that's fantasy. But when you look at his real life stats, he's also not doing very hot in real life. It's not just fantasy. So it's really a wild card because Blake Griffin is Blake Griffin. So could it change his scenery? Was it the reason for his bad play, the not having any motivation in Detroit, knowing that what are the chances that they're even going to make the playoffs? But will he play better being in Brooklyn? I think he will play better, but I don't think he'll be like go back to 25-year-old Blake Griffin. I think he'll play better because he has such great pieces around him, and since he's not the main player of a team anymore, like the Pistons, like he was the franchise player, and for he was on the Clippers before, right? Like
Yes.
he was one of those franchise guys for them. Now that he's really not put on the back burner, but he's part of the supporting roles now. I think he's going to play really well around guys like Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. But I said it before, I don't think he's the cherry on top because I think the Nets already had the cherry on top. I think the Nets are the clear favorite, not to win the title. I don't know about win the title, but I think they're the clear favorite to win the East. I don't think the 76ers are really going to put up that much of a fight. I know everyone's like, oh, Ben Simmons is the second defensive player of the year, and Joel Embiid's the MVP. You got James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, three of the best scorers to ever live, and the Nets finally figured out where Kyrie Irving deserves to play. Not the one, but the two. That he's in the right position. James Harden is happy. Kyrie Irving is happy. Two guys that seem like they are never happy, and now they are very happy. And Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. Now with Blake Griffin's going to be good, even though, and he's coming off the bench for them, so he's going to be a big piece off their bench. DeAndre Jordan is DeAndre Jordan, but when you got those three guys, I don't think it matters. I think the Nets are going for it. This is the year, I think, for them.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see them in the finals. If they win it all, I'm going to the parade, baby. Are you kidding me? Oh, I've been waiting for this for so long. But moving into the next topic we have here is the NBA trade deadline itself. There are a number of teams like the 76ers and, of course, the Nets we just saw and the Celtics that are making moves potentially of big names like Lamarcus Aldridge from the Spurs. PJ Tucker says he wants out of Houston, and Andre Drummond has been held out by Cleveland for at least 2 to 3 weeks now for contending teams to pick them up. So, Santa, I would actually like to kick it off with you on this one right away. What teams do you think would definitely make a big splash in the trade deadline, and whose name really grabs a lot of attention?
I mean, a name that really sticks out is Lamarcus Aldridge. I know that he's been hurt this year, but Lamarcus Aldridge is Lamarcus Aldridge, and when he does play, he's still a good role on the team. I could definitely see him going to somewhere. I'm not sure where because there's a lot of teams that need needs, but Lamarcus Aldridge would be a big fit and a good fit, I think, on any team in the NBA, and I think any team would be happy to have him as long as it matches up with their cap.
Yes. Definitely a great point you made there. Billy, I'd love to swing it on over to you now on what you think it would be a great move for a team contending for a title and maybe honestly just contending to try to keep up with Brooklyn at this point.
I think, well, first of all, I think Lamarcus Aldridge is going to end up on a team in the East contending. I think that the Celtics are a team that is going to be looking towards Lamarcus Aldridge. I think that he's on their radar as someone who could be like competitive for them. And I also think that there's a chance he ends up on the Knicks. I don't think it's highly likely, but I do think that the Knicks would want a guy like him to help their rotation. The Knicks have been a team that like have found success this season on having players not be playing like 30 plus minutes of the game, with the exception of Julius Randle. So having Lamarcus Aldridge there to be thrown in the rotation, someone who's going to consistently get you minutes and get them safely, is good. And then in doing a little bit of research for this, it does seem like there's a chance that Kyle Lowry is traded.
Yes.
And I do think Kyle Lowry is often undersold as a player in the NBA. I think that he is a highly sought after talent if he does get to go anywhere.
Toronto
And I
Legends.
don't have 100%. I think that he helped bring a championship to Toronto when Kawhi was there for a year. But I think that if Kyle Lowry were to find a home, I think that he would be able to help a team looking for a point guard to win. I just don't know what that fit is for him right now.
You make a good point because I actually saw somewhere like not too long ago, I think it was about a week ago, that Kyle Lowry reportedly was looking to sell or has sold his mansion in Toronto for like $5.5 million. But he sold his mansion in Toronto. That potentially could mean that he thinks he's on the move. So that would definitely be something to see. And Aaron, I would love to uh, skip it on over to you on which teams you think would definitely need to make a move to compete for a title, especially with the new look Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, I mean, for Drummond, I think he's okay. I actually think he could be great for the Trailblazers. And as for Aldridge, he's 35 years old, a veteran. So in free agency, he'd be available for a veteran's minimum contract with the Trailblazers as well. And then he also could be good for the Knicks. I like what Billy said for the Knicks because they need so much help. So I think he could go either way, but I think the Trailblazers would actually be best for him, and it would just work out best.
I really like the point you just brought up about um, Lamarcus Aldridge and I forget who you just said. I'm sorry. Wait,
Andre Drummond.
Drummond.
Drummond. Yes, Andre Drummond from the Cavaliers. They would make a great addition to the Portland Trailblazers. Lamarcus Aldridge could be in line for a huge reunion where he started out his career and was a multiple-time All-Star for the Trailblazers, spent a lot of time there, a lot of love from the city. And if the Trailblazers also get Andre Drummond, that is probably one of, if not the best rebounding center in the NBA. Yes, he doesn't really have a game that forms to today's NBA of a lot more shooting, but he knows his role. He plays very hard. And I would definitely love to see Andre Drummond out of Cleveland and really contending because he definitely has a lot to offer. And one more thing that I wanted to bring up as well is apparently the Boston Celtics are in line to possibly make a bunch of trades to Detroit Pistons' most improved caliber player, Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant has been having an insane breakout season, averaging 23 points and 7 rebounds a game, almost up double-digit points from last year. Incredible jump he's made for the Pistons. Yes, he hasn't really gotten any recognition because the Pistons are at the bottom of the NBA, but the strides he's made this year are incredible. And Boston sees that and want to send apparently multiple first-round picks for him. So if Boston can make a trade for him, that could definitely shape up their roster and make them look a lot more deeper as a contending team. And the last thing moving on is the MVP conversation. Joelle Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers leading them to first place in the East, but not for long. The Nets are catching them. The first place, Joel Embiid, he's having a 30.5 points per game, 11.5 rebound season. He's been playing out of his mind. He's definitely the front runner for MVP this year. But then there's also a guy named LeBron James, who even at age 36 is still playing at an MVP level. So, Billy, I wanted to start it with you. Do you believe that Joel Embiid is still the front runner for MVP, or do you think LeBron James is definitely going to catch him and possibly surpass him?
I mean, okay, here's what I'll say. I'll put a little disclaimer at the top of this. I'm a LeBron guy. I like LeBron. I think LeBron consistently plays at one of the highest levels in the NBA. He's consistently number 2 in MVP conversation. And he's consistently doing this at age 36 now. Doing it at 35 last year and 34 the year before. He's just like consistently someone who's putting up insane numbers and playing at an insane level. And I think he's constantly being undersold. But when you look at his numbers right now, he is like averaging like what he consistently averages with his like 26, 8, and 7 stat line that we like expect from him at this point. And then Joel Embiid is having an insane year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Joel Embiid does it. But my question, I guess, is does age ever come into factor when you consider things like this? Because I don't think a player has done what LeBron's doing at his age
No.
ever. And I think that like that's part of the like it's part of a conversation, but like I don't think that takes away from what Joel Embiid is doing either. And like statistically, Joel Embiid is the MVP. He's the biggest part of the reason that the Sixers have success right now, and they're the number one seed in a conference where the Brooklyn Nets exist with three superstars and practically one of the strongest teams that have ever entered the end. Exactly, like they're one of the strongest teams like in the NBA recently, like to recent memory, like since the Warriors, which isn't that long of a time frame, but still like that's in relation. Like you can't really compare anything. So like they're incredibly strong, and they're still second to Joel Embiid and the Sixers and Ben Simmons, I guess, if you want to throw some credit his way. But I think Joel Embiid has been having a monster season, and I don't think you could take that away from him as much as I'd like to give LeBron the credit he deserves and have him have an MVP year. But he would have to substantially increase his output in order to catch up to where Joel Embiid is at statistically to be considered.
And it's amazing that to see what LeBron has been doing, because it's not like he's been having a down kind of season. The man has still been averaging 26 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists when healthy. That's I'll take that every single game without question. But the fact that he's still continuing that pace at age 36 is just remarkable. Now, I do believe that this is Joel Embiid's award to lose. I believe he is the front runner right now. And Aaron, I would love to kick it on over to you on if you think that Joel Embiid is the MVP as of right now, or if you think LeBron is or can catch him.
Yeah, I'm conflicted because what Joel Embiid is doing is insane, and he definitely deserves it. But like Billy said, I really like the conversation about age. If age is going to be a factor, then we should be talking about LeBron, right? He's like the Tom Brady of the NBA, and then vice versa. What those two guys are doing are really unheard of, and it's really incredible to see. And just like literally be alive during this time to watch guys do what they're doing in not old age, but for sports in their old age.
Yeah.
So I definitely think if age is going to be a factor, then maybe LeBron should get it. I actually also think Curry should be in the conversation just because you could argue that he is carrying the team, and he is being very consistent. And they did get off to a slow start, and now they're picking it up. So overall, I do think Joel Embiid deserves it. And ultimately, I would be very happy if he got it, but there's still the age conversation with LeBron.
You bring up a good point. I believe that Curry has been balling out immensely this season, especially now that he does not have Klay Thompson or Kevin Durant anymore to help him. Draymond has definitely, his scoring role has definitely diminished as well. So to see Curry just absolutely light up the scoreboard almost every single night has definitely been a treat to watch. But Santa Morris, I would love to end it off now with you on if you believe that this is Embiid's award to lose, or possibly LeBron's, or if you think there's somebody else that really needs to be in consideration.
I think this is Joel Embiid's award to lose. I mean, I think he's run away with it. In my opinion, Joel Embiid is probably the most dominant center I've seen since Shaquille O'Neal, which is, I know, a bold statement, but he's doing things this season that we've never seen before. I mean, he's averaging 30 points 30 points a game as a center, which is pretty nutsos. Averaging 12 rebounds, more nutsos. So he's doing a great job. The 76ers are also in first place with the Brooklyn Nets, who are in second. And I was just talking about them, how they have that big three. And right now, the 76ers are still in first place. But again, Billy, I really started thinking when you brought up that age. I never really thought of, is age a factor with MVP? Because I usually tend to look at team success. And in that case, I'd have to go with Joel Embiid again. But with LeBron with age, he's doing stuff we've never seen before. Like, no player in history besides Tom Brady in a whole other sport is doing what LeBron James is doing. He's absolutely dominant, and Anthony Davis has been hurt the last couple of weeks, and he's still playing magnificent. So I still think it's Joel Embiid's award to lose, but I don't think there's anybody else that could be in contention to take it away from him except LeBron James. But at the end of the year, I have Joel Embiid getting that MVP crown.
I as well have Embiid getting that MVP crown. Another guy that I wanted to mention real quick before we end it here with the NBA segment of this episode is Nicole Jokic. He also has been having a fantastic year for the Nuggets, been putting up close to 30 points a game as well, over 10 rebounds, and 8 assists, which is the most assists we have ever seen from a center, I believe, since Wilt Chamberlain in a season. So to see what Nikola Jokic has been doing, he is definitely in consideration for the most complete game of any big man in the league. I know Embiid is definitely has the edge on him, but I believe personally that Jokic is much more gifted offensively. His talent, he's very talented with his ball handling skills and passing, which is an overlooked stat, I know, but for centers it kind of is because you see them more as paint protectors and defenders and rebounders. But to see what he's been doing as well is fantastic, and I really love to see the Joker play. But yes, I do believe this is Embiid's award to lose. And with that being said, that is it for the NBA portion of this episode. Stay tuned as we end things off with the MLB.
When I'm lonely in the dark, I know you are with me, yeah. Don't you see that I need you so much? Don't you see that I love you so much? Oh na 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 na, oh na na na, darling, I need your love. Oh na 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 na, oh na na na, darling, I need your love. When I'm lonely in the dark, I know you are with me, yeah. Don't you see that I need you so much? Don't you see that I love you so much? Oh na 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 na, oh na na na, darling, I need your love. Oh na 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 na, oh na na na, darling, I need your love.
welcome back to the final segment here on tonight's episode of Under Pressure. We are now talking about the MLB. Now, the first thing that I want to cover with you guys is the defending champion Los Angeles Dodgers have now acquired National League Cy Young Award winner Trevor Bauer on a 3-year, $100 million contract. These guys are already the defending champs, and now they add the Cy Young Award winner from last season. They look really poised to go back to back. So, Aaron, I wanted to kick it off with you. What do you think this move of Trevor Bauer does for the Dodgers, and does it make them even more of a powerhouse?
Yeah, I think they can totally go back to back. Looking at the team from last year, they already looked completely stacked, and now it seems that it's possible to, increase the team even more with getting Bauer. He was one of the most sought after pitchers in the off season. So once that news broke, it was huge. He's a little bit of a strange guy. He's been pitching in spring training with his eye closed, one eye closed, because he likes to challenge himself. He said. So if anything, I guess that shows that he can literally pitch any type of way he wants. And I actually think it's really inevitable that they're going to go to a World Series within the next 3 to 4 years, if not this year. Maybe even a Dodgers Yankees rematch, right? Everybody wants to see that, especially after it was stolen from them back in 2018. So I think, it could totally happen. And if anything, I think in this upcoming season, I think the Padres or the Yankees could beat him, but he's going to have a stellar season no matter what.
I honestly agree with that. I personally really love Trevor Bauer. I believe he just plays with so much electricity and energy, and he has that swagger when he's on when he's on the diamond. He firmly believes that he is the best pitcher in the league on any given night. And I really like that confidence in him. Yes, it can get a little ahead of him sometimes, but when he's on. And I really love everything he does. He can come off as kind of a rude, I guess, sometimes, but that's just him. That's just because he really wants to win, and that's just his mentality. And you can't teach that. So the Dodgers are getting a workhorse, I believe, with Trevor Bauer. So I really like the signing of them, and I really believe that they are definitely the favorites to come out of the National League again and represent them in the World Series. And Santa, I would love to shoot over to you now on how you believe the acquisition of Trevor Bauer will shake the league up, especially for the Dodgers.
So, like how you said, the Nets are like a my team. The Dodgers are like an MLB The Show Diamond Dynasty team. They somehow have managed to create a dream team of literally some of the best players in all of baseball, whether it's pitching and position players. Adding Trevor Bauer to their starting rotation, they already got guys like Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Dustin May, who's absolutely nasty, and Julio Urias, who can not only start but can close out a game. He got the last out in that World Series. They are absolutely insane. I mean, I hate to say it as a Yankee fan, but I'm really scared to face them in the World Series. Do I think we could beat them? Yeah, because I think we have an all-around better lineup than them, and I think we have a just as good starting rotation. But I think the Dodgers might have a little slight edge on us in the rotation. But in terms of anybody beating them in the National League, since we don't have to worry about them to the World Series, it's either San Diego Padres maybe. I don't know. I mean, a lot of talks on the Padres. Fernando Tatis is this and that, this and that. I'm not even completely sold on Fernando Tatis yet being like this big guy, but their starting rotation is also nasty. The Padres with Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, but other than those two guys, they have a bunch of question marks. Mike Clevinger, he's hurt. He's probably going to be out most likely the whole entire year, if not for sure the whole entire year. Chris Paddock is a solid arm, but again, he's a question mark. He's really young. Joe Musgrove, another question mark. There's just a bunch of question marks on that team. I got the Dodgers definitely beating the Padres. So I think, like Aaron said, it's going to be Dodgers-Yankees World Series. I don't think the Dodgers are really going to have much competition in all of the NL.
Yeah, I definitely also agree with what you said there. I believe the Padres are definitely going to be somewhat of a contending force with the Dodgers in their. I don't think the Dodgers are just going to cakewalk through the entire National League. I think the Padres are definitely going to put up a fight. But when it all comes down to it, the Dodgers have the better team,
Mhm.
have the experience, and yeah, I really do believe that it's going to be a lot of fun. Especially imagine if San Diego matches up with LA in the playoffs. I feel like
It'd be interesting.
that would be one of the most hype playoff series in a while,
Mm.
a long while. So
Without a doubt.
I would definitely tune in and watch that. So that would be definitely something to look out for. But Billy, I would love to end it with you now on how you think Trevor Bauer's time in LA could really just make them all the complete favorites for the title this year.
Well, I'm not too keen on baseball, but I think you and Aaron did put it very eloquently in that Trevor Bauer kind of makes pitching fun. I think in my experience watching baseball, I always want to see a batter smack one 500, but with Trevor Bauer, like watching pitching is fun and watching that part of the game is fun, and he does it really really well. And when you put that on top of an already stacked Dodgers team, how do you really compete with that in the NL? I think Santa, you make a good point. I think that the Padres are a really close contender. I think that they have a lot of pieces there to play them, and I think it would be a good series if they were ever to match up. But I just think the Dodgers aren't beatable. Like in their current state right now, I don't see a team that could really go up against them. Like even if you look at like the odds against them, like the Padres are still like down 300 and favorites to like beat them.
Mhm.
So like it's not even close really. But like I'd love to see them get upset. I just think the Dodgers are wildly far and ahead for what they could potentially be doing in baseball right now.
It's definitely going to be a very exciting season. I know we all can't wait to watch, especially with spring training underway now. Almost, I say, 2 weeks in. I want to say a week or two in. Uh, Season's right around the corner, so here they come. Now, moving into the next topic, on the other side of the MLB spectrum, the American League, the New York Yankees are definitely the powerhouse of that side of the bracket and everything in the conferences. So their new additions in the offseason were very important to say the least, but the one that I definitely wanted to highlight the most is Corey Kluber, now that he is healthy. And we don't respect what he did, but Domingo Herman does return to the team, and that is another really good arm. He's a pretty solid pitcher still, nonetheless. But I would love to hear Santa Morris kicking off with you as the resident Yankee super fan. How you believe the Yankees are going to fare this season?
Well, year after year, as a Yankee fan, we expect the same thing: the 28th ring, and then we fall short. This year, like every other year, I'm gonna say that this is our year. Corey Kluber is a huge acquisition for the Yankees. The Yankees got him on, I think, a $3.5 million contract for 1 year. That is as low risk as it gets in the major leagues for an arm like Corey Kluber, with about as high as a reward as you can get. People seem to forget that Corey Kluber is a they forget that Corey Kluber is a two-time Cy Young winner. He's absolutely nasty, and right now, what he's been doing for the Yankees in spring training, even though I know it's just spring training, but everybody always says spring training is more for pitchers than it is really the position players, and Corey Kluber is showing out right now. He's pitching incredibly well, and I know all 29 other teams in the Major League Baseball are thinking to themselves right now, how did we not get Corey Kluber for such a cheap contract?
Yeah, Corey Kluber is definitely going to be one of the more exciting things to look out for the Yankees this year, seeing how he could possibly return to his Cleveland form. That would be something that the Yankees desperately needed for a long time, a solidified great number two behind Garrett Cole to really help us in the title run. So, Aaron, I would love to send it over to you now on what you think of the Yankees additions. Who do you think is going to really show out for the Yankees this year, and if you think they're the real favorites to challenge the Dodgers and potentially beat them in the World Series?
So in the World Series, they will hands down beat them. But overall, I don't even know what to say because I am so superstitious. And the past couple years, I've said, this is it, this is the year. So This year, I'm not going to say anything, but we haven't looked this
Sorry.
good in spring training for a very long time. I mean, Sanchez, with a healthy Sanchez, that says a lot to me. And as far as Kluber goes, oh my gosh, I felt like so many times I felt like it was Christmas morning in the off season, right? We had LeMahieu, we re-signed him. Kluber was just like another great addition. You know, you get that really great present on Christmas and then you get another one. That's insane. And so, yeah, like you said, two-time Cy Young winner, and they were predicted to have the fourth best rotation. So he's involved in that, obviously. So they're going to be awesome. With Herman, yes, what he did was not, it was terrible. And I am very conflicted about bringing him back just because of that, because the Yankees are such a stand up organization. So I did have a little problem with that. But he had the other day a 3 shutout inning. So it was hard to watch that, but it's okay. It's fine. People make mistakes and he gets a second chance. But as for the rest of the team, I think they're just going to be insane, right? Aaron Judge, new teeth, new season. It's going to be great. They're all looking great.
I
Without a
can't wait.
doubt.
Yankee baseball. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. And Billy, I'd love to end it off with you with the Yankees now on how you think they're going to fare this season.
I mean, just from doing some research on Corey Kluber, like he's someone who has the potential to step in and like make a difference on this team who's like consistently struggled with pitching over the last couple of years. Again, not a huge follower of baseball, but I come from a family of Yankees fans and I'm surrounded by Yankees fans everywhere I go. And I hate to do this to you guys, but every year I kind of hear the sentiments being echoed of this is our year. And every year I
Yeah.
kind of watch them fall apart in the postseason and they just kind of struggle when they get there. And I hate to see that happen because I'd love to see a title. I'd love to see them go back to the World Series and win, but like until they can, this is a problem that happens in so many different sports with so many different all-star teams, like teams like with Giannis, like just consistently not being able to make it past the second round, and like all of these other like examples from sports where like teams that should be doing better consistently fail. So until they I'm sure they'll have a great regular season. I'm sure they'll make the playoffs. Until they can prove to me that they're going to win consistently in the playoffs, I wouldn't bet on them. And that's my thing. But I think that they have made some substantial changes. I think that they're going to and they've retained players like DJ LeMahieu, who is an asset to that team. So to do that and then like continue to move forward with this is an important part of trying to keep that team together. And I think that they have the pieces there, but it's just about, are they going to show up when it matters? And it's been a problem in the past, but I'd like to see them do it, and I'm gonna go ahead and say they might.
And I think it's all going to come down to injuries as well. I mean, the story of the Yankees for the last 2, 3 years has been injury. I feel like I wake up every single day and it's like, oh, this guy like got injured in the most random way in the middle of the game. Aaron Judge running down the first baseline somehow strains his calf and he's out for 2 months. Like that can absolutely not happen. And the same thing with Giancarlo Stanton. The guy's made out of paper and glass. Like he's I don't know why that is, but he just falls apart. I don't know what's going on over there. But if Aaron Judge and
I
Giancarlo
think
Stanton can stay healthy, they got it. What were you
I
saying, Aaron?
think this
Sorry.
is going to be the deciding season if they are both injury prone. Because to me, when somebody says that about Aaron Judge, I'm always like, well, the wrist wasn't his fault. So I need to see him have a complete season and healthy season this year. And they did change up a little bit of their workout routines, which was a huge story, in the off season. And so they are lifting less. So hopefully it does something. But other than that, I'm also really excited to see Frazier do well. I love Guardy. I love that he's back. I just don't think he's going to be a constant in left field. Frazier will. And Giancarlo should not either. He'll be DH.
It's his time. It's Frazier's time.
Yeah, Clint Frazier has definitely been on the rise in the Yankees for a while. I definitely want to see him out there on the field as well. He definitely deserves a nice opportunity. Stanton, no, he deserves no position in the outfield. Stay on the bench, smack the ball into
Hit the ball.
please. That's all we ask. Just hit it 450 and you're fine.
Exactly. Just put the bat on the ball. That's it. You got one job. That's it.
See the ball, hit the ball. There you go.
Exactly.
But yeah, so moving into the last part we have is Fernando Tatis signed a massive 14, 15-year contract. Now that seems completely unheard of and insane. I've never seen a contract that large in my lifetime. I will say that. So to see him get locked up for basically his entire career, he's solidifying himself as the face of the San Diego Padres for the next decade and a half is really amazing to see. But is the hype around him real? Is Fernando Tatis possibly going to go down as the 2020s Mike Trout, as the 2010s was completely dominated by Mike Trout throughout his entire time in the majors? Or do you think someone like Juan Soto or Ronald Acuna might have a better shot of becoming the next Mike Trout? So, Aaron, I will start it off with you. Are you all in on the Fernando Tatis hype, or is there someone else that might step up and take it from him?
Listen, I think I just need to see more from him. He's 22. I just want to see more. And I do think Acuna could come up and, really establish himself over Tatis, but I'm a huge Mike Trout fan. I don't think anybody's going to be able to do what he has done. He's not necessarily the face of the MLB because he is so private and he doesn't do the endorsements and all that. And that kind of bothers me because I think he deserves so much recognition. But I just need to see more out of Tatis first before anybody starts putting him in a conversation with Trout. But as for that, yeah, I mean, obviously Juan Soto can do a lot, but I just don't think they're in the same conversation as Trout yet.
I definitely agree. They're definitely not in the conversation of Mike Trout yet. He's still in another planet of his own, established as one of the greatest players of all time. Billy, I'd love to swing it over to you now on what you believe would be a realistic person that could possibly come and say that they are this decade's next Mike Trout, whether it be Tatis, Soto, Acuna, or somebody else.
It's too early in the decade. It's there's still 9 years left to go here. We just started this decade, but uh, look at Mike Trout's stats. He's got a career 304 batting average. Like
Unheard of.
he's insanely good. Like people use that phrase a lot. Like you can bat 300 and still like hit the Hall of Fame, but that's still insane. And Mike Trout is someone who's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's someone who's consistently playing at a high level of baseball. And in order for someone to catch him, we need to see a lot more from people to see that. Um, there's a lot of hype around Tatis now, but he's also young and he's also got a lot of time to go. And I think that in order for us to like fully make that kind of judgment on who's going to be the next Mike Trout, um, they just need the MLB needs. I was about to say the NBA. The MLB needs more time to like come to fruition in this decade and see exactly how that's going to fall with teams because I feel like we're still kind of in the era of the 2010s. Like that's still kind of like going away. We still have teams like the Dodgers and not the Rockets anymore, but like have those teams kind of at like the forefront of baseball. And now you're going to start moving into this new era, but we're still moving out of this, so it's not really clear yet who's going to take that spot.
I do agree. The decade and the players in conversation are both very young. The decade just started last year. We still have 8 good to 9 good years left of this decade, and we also have Fernando Tatis, Juan Soto, and Ronald Acuna, who all are under 24 years old, which is ridiculous considering how well they have been playing. So, Santa, I will love to end it off with you now on what you think is going to be the next possible Mike Trout decision maker of Tatis, Juan Soto, Acuna, or maybe somebody else, or if you believe the hype just isn't really there.
So the hype is definitely there. I don't know if the hype is there for someone to be as good as Mike Trout. I mean, Mike Trout is is a once in a I wouldn't say once in a lifetime player, but he actually might be a once in a lifetime player. I mean, Fernando Tatis, and in terms of Fernando Tatis, I mean, like everyone said, we just haven't seen enough of him. He hasn't played in 100 games in either of his seasons. I know last the COVID season, a shortened season, but still, in either of his 2 seasons, he hasn't even sniffed 100 games. And baseball, it's a 162 game season, which means he's missing a good 2 months of games. So, and a lot of players, they like to look instead of his average. He has really good averages of 317 and 277. A lot of guys like to look at his on base percentage, and he has a great on base percentage. But in terms of comparing him to Mike Trout, Fernando Tatis usually has a bad on base percentage, like around 380. Mike Trout does that in his sleep. Last year was an off year for him, and he still had a better on base percentage than Fernando Tatis. I don't even think Tatis is even the best out of him, Juan Soto, and Ronald Acuna Jr. I think that goes to Juan Soto. I'm a big fan of Fernando Tatis. I think that he definitely is going to be the future of the Padres, and probably, I want to say, one of the faces of the league because of just the personality he has. But in terms of Mike Trout has very similar stats to Mickey Mantle at this point in his career. And I'll tell you one thing: neither of those three, Fernando Tatis or Ronald Acuna or Juan Soto, can sniff Mickey Mantle's jockstrap right now. And Mike Trout is like on pace to be maybe even better than Mickey Mantle. So now Mike Trout is on another level. I don't even know how to explain it. He's better than anybody by far. Even with a year last year that he had of a shortened season, he still was better than, I say, a good 90% of the league. So take it as you will.
I couldn't agree more. Mike Trout is definitely going to go down as top 5, maybe top 3 greatest MLB players of all time.
I don't know about that. There's a lot of players, man. But maybe by the end of his career, he's got a good 10 years left. You might be right, actually.
He might
be right.
He keeps up this form. I see him being a top 5 player all time.
Yeah, I'm looking at his stats right now. You might be right on that. Yeah, you might.
If he keeps up pace, he really could do it.
If he keeps
Hands
up pace,
down Hall of Famer.
Yeah, without a doubt. First ballot. He could have retired 5 years ago and made the Hall of Fame. He's so good.
Do you agree he would be a unanimous like Mo?
Yeah.
He should be, but how baseball? I'll tell you one thing: baseball people who vote in the Hall of Fame, it's usually journalists. They take themselves way too seriously. So I don't know about that. But does he deserve it? Yeah, he does, 100%, without a doubt.
Well, guys, with that all being said, that is it for tonight's episode of Under Pressure. I want to say a big thank you to Nick Santamoris, Billy O'Neill, and Aaron Mulligan for all being a part of this. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Billy Griffith, my co-executive producer, thank you so much for everything you do behind the scenes. We all appreciate you. And I am Nick Presto, and we are all here from Under Pressure, signing off. Till next week. Have a good one.